William Howard Taft was born in 1857 in Cincinnati, Ohio, and passed in 1930 in Washington, D.C. Taft's father, Alfonso, was a U.S. Attorney General and Secretary of War. Taft's mother was Louise Story, whom gave birth to 4 other sons as well. Taft attended Yale University, graduated second in his class, and then went to study law at the University of Cincinnati. Following in the footsteps of his father, Taft became a well-respected lawyer. He followed Theodore Roosevelt and was followed by Woodrow Wilson as president. Taft's path to presidency differs from many other presidents. He was approached by William McKinley in the year 1901, who gave him the opportunity to set up a civil government in the Philippines. Taft accepted and became the chairman of the Second Philippine Commission. Part of Taft's progressive side was shown in the Philippines as he bettered their economy and gave some people voice in government. Taft heavily reformed the Philippines politically, which is a trait of the progressive Republicans. Although he was well liked in the Philippines, Taft came back to the United States, becoming Theodore Roosevelt's Secretary of War. Taft was promoted as Theodore Roosevelt's successor towards the back end of Roosevelt's presidency. Fortunately, he did not do as well as Roosevelt. Taft was elected the 27th President of the United States. Despite promising to continue Roosevelt's administrative tactics, he slowly differed from Roosevelt in the progressive ideal. For starters, Taft did not fit the role of a leader, especially in comparison to Roosevelt. Taft weighed over 320 pounds at some points during his presidency and was not as outgoing or charismatic as Theodore Roosevelt was. But Taft did do some progressive-esque things. He promoted income taxes as part of the 16th Amendment and busted plenty of trusts, nearly 80 in the beginning years of his presidency. The past 2 photos are actual pictures of the 16th Amendment and Sherman Antitrust Act. Taft highly approved of the Antitrust Act and recognized it as a good law. Taft did attempt to lower tariffs in some respects, however, passed the Payne-Aldrich Act, which raised tariffs and said it would be the best tariff Republicans ever passed. Progressive Republicans did not want this tariff passed, but Taft did it anyway. The political cartoon shown here is mocking Taft and the act he had passed. Another ordeal that involved Taft also involved his Secretary of Interior, Richard Bollinger, and Gifford Pinchot, who was a friend of Roosevelt's. Taft lost support of both progressive Republicans and Roosevelt after he had fired Pinchot, who refused to forget about a deal that had fallen through with Bollinger. Although this was the right thing to do, progressive Republicans went against Taft and the decision he had made to fire Gifford Pinchot. There was no consequence for Bollinger, who had pulled the deal himself. In 1910, William Howard Taft backed a deal about railroad regulation. The Mans-Elkin Act allowed the Interstate Commerce Commission the power to set its own rates, stiffen long and short hauls, and place communication companies under ICC jurisdiction. This did please progressive Republicans. However, Taft felt the need to please conservative Republicans as well and created a Commerce Court for them. After finally giving progressive Republicans something to cheer about, Taft went against them in the 1910 elections for House of Representatives. He campaigned against progressive Republican Senate members like Hiram Johnson and created anti-progressive organizations. Old Taft was a lazy president who did not fit in with progressives. He made the progressives so angry with him overall that Theodore Roosevelt decided to run against him in 1912, splitting the Republican Party. Taft did not fit in with progressives thanks to his passing of the Payne-Aldrich Act, his assembling of anti-progressive organizations during the 1910 elections, while raising the question of party regularity constantly, which angered them even more. He even fired a Republican progressive favorite, Gifford Pinchot. He felt like he needed to please everyone like when he made the Commerce Court after fully pleasing progressives in the Mans-Elkin Act. Taft was left outside the Republican Party split with no appreciation from progressives. His laziness is portrayed by his lifelong dream of becoming a Supreme Court judge, not even wanting to run for presidency, but being forced to by Theodore Roosevelt and his wife.
Howard Taft was large, but he wasn't as in charge as some Republicans wanted. Taft came from a well-known Ohio family. He was a good lawyer and a respected judge. When America took control of the Philippines, Taft did a great job as the governor. And when he came home, he was Teddy Roosevelt's Secretary of War. Taft had never run for office, but Roosevelt figured Big Bill was the guy to carry on his progressive agenda. He won easily in 1908, and Taft did some progressive things. He supported the constitutional amendment allowing income taxes. He tried to lower the high tariffs that corporations loved. He kept on filing antitrust lawsuits, and he secured more power for the executive branch to regulate stimulate the economy. He even beefed up American influence in Latin America by promoting trade. But it wasn't enough to make Teddy's supporters happy, and the Republican Party split in two. Taft didn't try to influence public opinion the way TR did. Instead of forcing issues through politics and executive orders, he always preferred to work through the legal system. Taft loved the law, and he thought Roosevelt had gone too far. Progressives labeled Taft a sellout. Roosevelt ran against his former buddy in 1912, and with Republicans divided, both men lost to the relatively unknown Woodrow Wilson. In the end, Taft got the job he always wanted. He became the first former president to be appointed Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.